Sorry about another video. It's 6:32 a.m. It is October 3rd, and I am on my way to work. I slept well yesterday. Of course, the air in the room is quite chilly, so that's always nice. I got up around, I don't know, maybe 3 o'clock this morning. I wasn't actually physically walking around at 3 this morning, but I was awake, okay, and I was just kind of going in and out of sleep until my alarm clock went off. During that time, I was kind of thinking about, during that time I was just thinking about, the standards of cults and how they kind of make up rules as they go along. And my question, or my thought, I guess I should say, was how do they base what's moral and what's immoral? I know that my ex-brother-in-law was trying to kind of force me to stay in a marriage with my ex-husband, knowing that I didn't believe in that lifestyle. Now, I don't believe that. I don't think it's wise or a good idea for people to practice incest, but I do realize that it's a common issue, okay, but I don't agree with it. And I felt as though my brother-in-law was trying to force that issue on me, which is just like rape. And then he uses other people to achieve his goals, like, using employers to, intervene in my ex-marriage. I've been divorced since October last year, so I've been divorced a year. I don't know exactly what day it was. I have to look at the paperwork. I think it was sometime like on the 14th of October when my divorce was finalized, but I've been divorced for a year now. But it was like he was trying to force me to accept that sort of living arrangement. And I know that this is something that my ex-brother-in-law practices within his own family, which I think is, and I know a lot of people do, and I think it's kind of a controversial subject, but I think people have the right to say and speak up if it's something that they're not comfortable with. They have the right to say, this is not something I'm comfortable with, and I choose not to. They have the right to speak up for themselves. And when people ignore or try to coerce you into accepting something that you're not comfortable with, that to me is the equivalent of rape. I'm not. And then, how is it that he can point a finger at me and like I'm some sort of immoral person when that's not even the case? I made mistakes when I was a kid. I had a child out of wedlock when I was in my early 20s, and that was just something that you learn from that. I think a lot of girls get caught up with this idea that the guy who tells you that they love you, and they get caught up with all this stuff, and they make mistakes like so many other women do. And I think some people, especially if there's really no love in a family in any way, there is no such, I don't believe there is such a thing called unconditional love. I don't believe that. I think love has its conditions. And when you are in a family that's scapegoating anyway, anything that you do could make them want to sever ties with you or use it as a justification to kind of put you on the outs. To me, if I had a daughter who did that, and I would probably forgive her. I would look at it. See, I'm different, okay? Because I'm not somebody who wants to scapegoat their kids in the first place. But for families that are like that, they will. Now, I know my ex-sister Lisa, she had a child out of wedlock. Of course, she got married, okay? She married her husband before the child was actually born, but the child was actually conceived before they were married, okay? So really, I know that some people would like to say, oh, well, that's different. It's not the same. It is the same, okay? It is. It's just that we try to make up excuses for and try to justify people's behavior. Also, my ex-sister has a daughter who has 2 children and they're not married. So, but yet they're all warm and loving towards their family members, and she's included into the family, and everybody accepts her. So obviously there's an issue relating to scapegoating here, okay? And just about every family has somebody who maybe have had a child out of wedlock or whatever, and that was such a long time ago. You know what I mean? But they'll use this as an excuse. Like they'll come up to employers or people that I know, and they'll say, well, she did this, and because she dresses well, she's just going to be open to the schemes of the opposite sex. No, I learned my lesson. Okay, I learned my lesson when I was younger. That I understand that love is not something that is very common. I mean, not true love. Okay, true love is a very rare thing, and I'm not, and I'm okay with that. I'm fine being single. I really am. I don't have an issue with that, because when I think about what really is out there, I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. I don't. So some people will say, well, what about Stephen Lyles? Well, you know what? When I found out that he was involved in this, or he had something to do with it or whatever, yeah, I'd like to keep it on. Sure I would. You know what I mean? I'm not sure if everything's going to work out. I might be somebody who's annoying to him, or vice versa. We don't know, but I figure, I've known him, I don't never knew him, but, it's been 30 something years, and I feel like, we should get to know each other. Do I think that we have a lot in common? I think we have a lot of similar taste, and I think we probably click well. Okay, but we don't, those sort of things, I don't know. I have no idea what's going to happen in the future. But whatever the case is, I choose to live my life independently from the idea of being in a couple. I don't ever want to be in a relationship where my relationship is what I consider to be institutionalized, meaning, my husband has control over where I work and blah, blah, blah. No way, okay? Because that to me is nothing more than abuse. I wouldn't put up with it. So, I don't want to have any sort of arrangements like what my brother-in-law, my ex-brother-in-law, does with my sister. I don't believe in that, okay? And I don't, it's not a good idea. It just isn't. So I do. I want to know what, makes a person moral under the guidelines or based off of what my ex-brother-in-law, how he lives. What makes a person moral? Is it okay? How do you justify molesting your children? How do you justify molesting your children? And then somebody who dresses professionally to work. How do you point the finger and say what's moral and what's immoral? That doesn't make any sense. Okay. I wonder about this stuff, and I wonder about, the people who helped my brother-in-law put this in place. Did they realize what they were doing was a serious crime? Did they realize that what he was really doing, forcing a woman to stay in a marriage to somebody who, terrified her, basically? Yeah, that terrifies me. When I think about that, seriously, when I think about somebody trying to force me into staying married to somebody, that scares me half to death, because they're in a lifestyle that I'm not comfortable with, and they're going to try to coax me into that terrifies me. That literally disturbs me like you don't even know. It's like somebody violating you, and did they realize that? Do people understand what they do before they do it? That's upsetting to me. But, I don't believe I'm a moral person. I think that in the past I made mistakes. I haven't had half as many boyfriends as most women have my age. Most women who by the time they're like 19 has had about 6 or 7 boyfriends. That's not a joke. I know when I was growing up, most kids started seeing boys and stuff like that, like when they were early in their teens, okay? I didn't actually start till I was like 19 or 18 or 19 or something like that. So, I would consider myself kind of behind the game, I will say, compared to my sisters, my ex-sisters, my sister, Tanya, she pretty much married the first guy that showed her attention. You know what I mean? I mean, she was other guys that showed her attention, but she got hooked on this particular one, I guess, and she didn't really date around enough, to make a decision as to what was right for her. She just married him because, I don't know why, low self-esteem, obviously, because I wouldn't have married him. And then, of course, my other ex-sister, Lisa, she never really had very many boyfriends, and then she got hooked up with her husband when she got pregnant, and probably used that as a way to keep him, okay? So when they compare themselves to me, they think, well, she has all these men. I never had a bunch of men. I never had. I mean, I dated a few people, you know what I mean? But I never had what they call, like, boyfriends, and I mean, like, long-term relationships and stuff like that. I had very few. Very, very few. I think, after I had my son, I think I was still thinking, okay, well, maybe, I can find someone and we can settle down and get married and have a family, whatever. And so, you meet different people and not very many, mind you, but, and you try to find something like that. And I just realized, people really don't have the kind of standards and values that I'm looking for. They don't have it. They don't have it. If Joel was up front with me and told me that, hey, me and my mom are kind of freaky like this, I mean, if he would have told me out like that, I would have never, ever married him. I would have never married him. And if he was, I understand, like, for example, some people have relationships with their mom. I do understand it's common enough, but if it was something that he was going to continue doing and wanting to be in a relationship with me at the same time, no, okay, I would not have accepted that. Because I don't want that pressure being put on me to participate or, anything like that. I don't want that. I don't want that in my life. So, I'm just, maybe I have, extremely high standards. Maybe, I think what I don't think that marriage is essential for my well-being. It just isn't, okay? And I know a lot of people think, well, I don't understand how you could say that. When you, somebody like myself, who's been abused by their family and whatnot, you understand that you can't trust people. You can't, okay? You can't just because somebody's good looking is not enough for me to be wanting to settle down with them or put my life in jeopardy. I just can't do that, I still want to live my life, I want to, meet, talk to people. Meaning, I would like to have girlfriends and people to do things with. But as far as, like, either I get to know Steven and it works out, or I just want to get on with my life. That's really all I want to do. I want to get on with my life, and I don't care about marriage. I don't care about it. And if Steven and I do end up getting married, well, then that's great. You know what I mean? But I'm not expecting that. If it happens, great, okay? Because I've always thought he was a good-looking person. I've always thought he was intriguing, whatever. But I don't know him very well. So, for him to hold my life back over this issue, not knowing exactly what's going to happen, that was dumb, I just rather, I just want to live the rest of my life doing the things that I want to do. And I was thinking, find a job that, keeps me busy, and if traveling was involved, then I would be willing to travel, whatever. I'm willing to do those sort of things because I don't have anything in my life. I don't have anything in my life. All I have in my life really is, what I do during the day, and that's it. That's it. That's all I have, And I don't ever want my, people speculating about my love life. and then thinking that this has something to do with my work, because it really wouldn't. It wouldn't. I would never allow the two to collide. Not if I have anything to say about it. I would never allow it to collide. I wouldn't want that, and I don't want my relationships, I don't have a relationship, but if I was to get together with Steven, I would never want it to be institutionalized to where employers are getting involved in it. It's like, I believe if in order for couples to be happy, they need to keep people out of their life. They need to keep the relationship between two people. That's it, okay? They are the ones who are in charge of those decisions, what they want in life. They talk it over, and then they work it out themselves, okay? I don't believe in letting other people involved in my relationship. Okay, you want problems in your relationship, that's exactly what you're going to get when you bring other people in it. Other people, relationships involve two people. That's it. And that's just how I look at things. And when people get involved with my stuff, it's like, just get the hell out of it. I don't know enough people very well for them to involve themselves, and I resent the intrusion. I resent the intrusion of my previous employers getting involved in my personal life. I resent the fact that they believed Jim Culligan. I resent the fact that Jim Culligan is a fucking incestuous pervert who really should be wiped off the face of this earth. And, to me, should be charged with crimes of rape and everything else. And yet, somehow or another, he's the Pied Piper, and he gets to lead all these people into deception and error. And everybody thinks that that's okay. It's not okay, I'm very sad that, this man came into my life, invaded my life. There's no room for the Culligan family in my life. I don't want them. And I'm very weirded out by his moral standards and his views on life. I'm very weirded out by it and disgusted by it. So anyway, I'm almost to work now. Those are just my thoughts, I was thinking about it because it's like, I don't understand how, I know a few years ago I had seen that, I tend to watch, Christian entertainment, not because I identify with that particular church, okay, because I don't go to church, okay, but I know that some people who, and I'm talking about cults, okay, I'm not talking about people who have a sincere heart, I'm talking about people who are cult-like, right? There tends to be some sort of denial that goes on within some people, because there's a lot of people who do practice incest. There's a lot of father and daughter sexual relationships, as well as mother and son relationships within the Christian faith, and they're like in denial of it. I don't know how they convince themselves that this isn't happening, and then they want to point a finger at other people and try to cast blame and say that these people are immoral when they're really not. But, I do understand that Christian women believe in modesty. Like, when I think of modesty, I think of being well-groomed but not showing off your body. Like, you might wear a pair of pants or whatever, but, you don't wear any low-cut tops. You don't wear things that show your belly. And then, of course, that varies between, denominations. I knew this one particular, I believe he was Pentecostal. He was a guy, too, He didn't believe in showing his arms. We worked at a fast food place when I was a teenager, and he insisted on wearing a turtleneck under his uniform, okay? Everybody has their standards, but whatever their standard is, they have no right to enforce that or impose their standards of their particular religious faith on somebody else. Like, some Christian churches think it's okay for women to wear tank tops and show their arms. I don't see anything wrong with showing your arms, okay? But to me, it's summertime, you're wearing your arms. But some people look at that as wrong. In the early 1900s, people thought that women's ankles were too sensual. So, in strip shows, actually women showed their ankles, and people thought that was a big deal. To me, I don't think anything of an ankle. I see people walking in sandals all the time. But I think when I think of morals or immoral, what's immorally dressed is I think of low-cut shirts, women showing their cleavage, mini skirts that are too high, meaning that when they bend over, you can see, their panties or something. That to me is immoral. Okay, I don't see anything that I wear is immoral. I don't.
And some of it is based on, personal preference, like I said. But whatever their personal preferences are, that's a standard that they have to live by within themselves. They don't have the right to enforce those standards on other people, and especially since I'm not married to this man, And I will say, when I was married to Joel, like I said before, he never had an issue with this. So this is all the fault of Jim Culligan. And Jim Culligan has no right to point the finger, okay? When you go fuck your little daughter and you think that this shit's normal, okay? You have no right to tell me anything, all right, at all. So that's all I'm really going to say for today. Something's going on over here. Looks like electricity is out, power's out on one of these things. I had to express my feelings because it's like, I get tired of, shouldering the burden of somebody else's big mistake. Here's a man who I think it's kind of weird that a man would be stalking his wife's sister's Facebook page. I think that's strange, okay? I really think that's very strange. It's like, what the hell is wrong with you? I think he's a pervert, is what I think he is. And he needs to stay the hell away. Okay? Anyway, I'm almost at my destination. I will be back with another video some other time. Have a great day. Bye-bye.